zone through the afternoon. It shows that we are in a high threat, perhaps especially over towards parts of eastern Oklahoma nearest that warm front that will likely set up and kind of waver in and out of parts of far northeastern Oklahoma through the afternoon into the evening hours. The greatest threat of tornadoes will actually be in central and western Oklahoma, but just about any part of green country needs to be aware of the threat that will be rising through the course of the afternoon. In fact, it's not just tornadoes, it's wind, it is hail, and it is flooding, all of which are in the very moderate to high category as we go through the rest of our day and into the nighttime hours. The timeline looks like this. We're going to see an increase in coverage of the storms through the afternoon, and they'll be increasingly severe with time as well as they interact with better ingredients to produce that severe weather. So the timeline for severe storms that are probably at the greatest threat would be between about 4 or 5 and midnight tonight. So that is the time to make sure you have access to all warnings that could be issued for your location and have a safe place to go in case a tornado warning is issued for your location. Now we'll see a little drop off in that activity overnight, and then we'll start to see another round coming through tomorrow morning, probably early to mid-morning, when we might end up with a severe weather threat with a final squall line to push on through the area. So our future view model shows that increase in storm coverage through the 3 and 4 o'clock hour. Some of those are likely severe. Along and south of the frontal boundary, we'll end up with that tornado threat with some of these supercells along with large hail that could occur just about anywhere in green country. On into the evening hours, we'll continue to see more and more storms filtering into the area, some of which will train over the same locations, meaning a very heavy rainfall event and flooding event will set up across parts of northeastern Oklahoma. Right now we're thinking along and northwest of I-44 is where that greatest threat will lie between now and 7 o'clock. As we move into the later evening hours, we'll continue to see a band of very heavy thunderstorms, likely severe, likely some that are rotating, and they could have some tornadoes on the ground for a while. That's why we are going to have our storm teams out throughout the state and across eastern Oklahoma to monitor that particular threat. And into the overnight hours, we might see a slight reduction in those storms' intensity and coverage, even at the midnight hour, but beyond there, a squall line will be moving in from the west. It could be initially not as strong, but as we move through the morning hours on Tuesday, it could grow in intensity. Right now, we're kind of clocking in on the 9, 10, 11 o'clock hour for it to push through Highway 75 corridor from Tulsa to McAllister, and then on to the east from there by midday, lined up from Miami southward into far southeastern Oklahoma, meaning tomorrow afternoon will be quiet and we'll finally catch a break from the severe weather threat. And tomorrow's threat is a little bit lower, but still involving hail, high winds, and perhaps a few tornadoes along that frontal boundary. All right, so finally, the rainfall totals, very significant. Right now, we've seen an area perhaps setting up between Tulsa and the Oklahoma-Kansas line with 2 to 4 inches widespread, maybe 4 to 6 inches locally. There might be a spot or two even more than that. Just be aware this is going to fall on saturated soils, meaning quick flooding could occur on not just low-lying roadways, but streams and rivers could also go out of their banks, which is why we have numerous flood warnings in anticipation of river and stream flooding and a flash flood watch up for most